I want to welcome you to the show. Oh, wait, we got music on today. I have a musician. He is back from, I don't know where he's back from. He's just back. I mean, it's just, you come back to something. It's like you try to escape it, live a regular life, but it keeps calling you. It's like, no, I don't want to. You must. I can't. You must. You have to come back. Music is one of those things that just runs in your veins. And when it's in there, it never leaves. It makes no sense though. But my next artist is on the show and he is back. And let me tell you something, he's got an amazing website. I was looking at this like, okay, wait a minute. Reminds me of like the Marvel Comics thing, which I love. I love Marvel Comics. And this is Maverick Smith with Friends and Imperfections. Welcome to the show. I have to say this, Mr. Sean Boynes.
Sean Boynes,
Oh,
very close.
Boynes, I knew it. I knew it. There was going to be a streak and then there was going to be boom, you fallen. Mr. Boynes, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and what a wonderful introduction that you just
Oh,
gave.
oh, no, yeah, it's true, right? It's like you have music in your veins. It's like you try to escape and you can't go anywhere. Am I
It,
right?
it, it never leaves you, and even when you're trying to look at something else, a melody or a hook is going to pop into your head. So yes, it's like a virus that seeps in and starts to control your mind more and more the further away from it you get.
You can't really get too far because
It won't let you.
no, it won't. It won't let you. What made you? Okay, so first of all, you got into the music industry. What happened to kind of bring you out?
So I think it was the wear and tear.
Mm,
We kind of had my previous band was Lowlander. You can check out that music, and please do. It's available on every streaming service, and you can still get some physical media. We hit the original plan was we were cutting a demo just so we could play some bars and clubs, and the person who owned the studio at the time, Aardvark Productions, came down and said, "Look, I think you guys have something. Why don't you think about making an album?" And we
I
did.
remember Harvard.
Started, yeah, we started.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great studio, actually. I'll tell a little bit about that. It's in Steubenville because that's where I ended up recording the album that we just released with the new band. But it's tied into the Ohio Valley and all of this kind of rich musical history there from Wild Cherry, who is famous for the song "Play That Funky Music, White Boy," to Joe Grishecki, who plays with Springsteen, to newer bands like the Clarks, and even the infamous and famous Donnie Ayers from the '80s. So you
Mm,
sort of have this Ohio Valley rock and roll that when you walk in, all these CDs and records are hanging on the wall. And so, we kind of hit pretty quick and pretty impactful. And then two albums later, um, the fizzle kind of wore off a little bit, and some of
yeah.
that was on me as the songwriter. I was
Hmm.
listening too much to A&R folks,
Oh,
and unfortunately started making albums and songs for them instead of for myself, and kept trying to make the same song, hoping it would hit. So learned a lot of lessons from there, but it was
yeah.
sort of going from a pickup truck to a van, staying in hotels, to seeing yourself heading back to that pickup truck and sort of making a decision that, hey, you got to see where things take you elsewhere. And then, life kind of caught me, and that was what drove me out there
Oh.
just for a little while.
What was it that caught you? That caught you for so long that you stayed out for 10 years?
Yeah, it was about a decade.
Hmm.
Well, I was still involved, right? I just wasn't going out and gigging. I definitely wasn't trying to produce 16 songs every 8 months,
Oh.
but still had the ability to write here and there.
Hmm.
Had moved from the Ohio Valley to sort of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, so could grab a guitar, go do a coffee shop kind of
Right.
thing. It wasn't like I was completely out, but not to the point where I would say I was willing to share the art of the creative process in a wider way.
Mm.
So I think it was just burning out, and the typical, man, we got really close and it burned that we just couldn't get out of that opening slot, if you will.
I gotcha. I understand. So being that you came out and now you're back in, I mean, there must be some shock because like this has changed. I mean, 10 years has gone by and 10 years of change in the music industry is like it's like an eternity. What was that like to get completely back in?
It still is. One, it's you're drinking from a fire hose, and no matter how many steps back you try to take, you just keep getting water all over your face.
uh
Um, it it's interesting though, just as somebody who, if you look at my library, it's music books, it's history of music, and watching bands go through the process. So I think that inquisitive, curious part of me is enjoying understanding the change and
mhm,
being able to look at it almost like you're time traveling in a
mhm.
sense.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, when I was in, you're looking at, MySpace just starting to come down
Mm.
from the peak.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh,
you,
MySpace.
yes, this is Facebook's just taking off.
Mhm.
CDs are still your primary mechanism of getting your art out and selling. So you're talking shelf space, not streaming space.
Mhm.
Ringtones were really big. Like we were doing
Oh my
well with
gosh, I forgot about
ringtones,
that.
and it was great, right? Because the record companies, they didn't really know what to do with them at the time, so
Yeah.
you kind of own those. So ringtones were big. It was still gigs. We were still sort of not mainstream at the top, mid to top level of where indie bands would be at. So you still needed to gig. That's still the same, even more important.
Yeah.
But now it's interesting. It's so easy to get your music out, but it is much, 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 much more difficult to get it heard. And there's also so much music being created, which is great. It's much simpler. Like when I first got in, you had to get into a studio. If you wanted a professional, good production, you weren't going to be able to do that at home or even in sort of the corner studios that are out there now. Um, you really had to be able to produce the sound and the
Yeah.
structure overall. But content and social media, and I'm a guy that also was off social media for 10 years. So getting back into
Mm.
that
Oh my
is,
gosh, poor
yeah. I mean,
guy.
I was
Oh.
on it. I was enjoying it too. It was kind of a
Oh.
nice respite. So diving back in has been fun, exhilarating, but frustrating at times. The learning curve is huge, but I'll give a shout out to my marketing person, Morgan, who I know will watch this and cut this up into getting this promoted. So I appreciate her doing that. But my grandmother always said, a smart person knows to call and ask for help. A wise person knows who to call.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was able to call the right person who's younger and understands sort of this landscape. But yeah, it's insane now.
It's insane.
It is.
It's
It's
crazy.
insane.
It literally is crazy. I mean, and there is no wrong, right way to do it, which is even crazier. It's even crazy. Am I right? Back in the day, there was a wrong way, and then there was a right way to do it. Now it's like, just do it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing in the sense that there's multiple pathways,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Back in the day, you maybe had one or two.
Mm-hmm.
Networking was important. A&R, I'm not sure, and not to undercut any A&R folks out there, but it does seem like that's not as important. That there's just all these mechanisms to get it, but there's so
Yeah.
much more competition, and the airwaves are so crowded, and then it's fragmented. Like you could go into a record store and you had your rock, your R&B, your hip hop,
Right.
smooth jazz, and people would congregate around the type of music they want. So I do
Mm-hmm.
think that the tastes have changed too, but maybe for the better overall, because I think with playlists and the way the streaming works, I think people are, it reminds me sort of the early 90s, mid 90s
Yeah.
music vibe where there was an open mindedness to different types of music. So the top 40 changed completely. And it seems like that now. It's just the audiences are fragmented. So
Yeah.
I would say one thing we're struggling with and working through is people really digging the music. So we're seeing streams go up. People are connecting the music to the band, but maybe not to the artist. So
Mm-hmm.
building that audience overall. So when we go into the live gigs in the spring and the summer, having people show up to hear you, I think that becomes much more of a strategic process than
Yeah.
maybe it's ever been.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. You know what surprised me? What surprised me was vinyl coming back and then record players coming out. I was like, okay, wait a minute. So if you're going to bring out a record player, you need someone that's going to fix my needle because my needle's going to break. And where do you send that? Do you have to buy a whole new record player? I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
some problems with these things. And where is my little thingy that goes in the middle for my 45s? I mean, there's like so it goes right back to it. But what kind of music are you doing these days? Is it different than what you used to do, or is it the same, or did you update it? How is it now?
So I think there's elements of what we were doing previously, which is definitely a pop punk or a punk band. You're looking at the early 2000s through the end of that decade. So that was kind of what was going at the time. And I'm influenced. My favorite band, which you can see behind me, is the Ramones. Uh, but I'll tell another story just on my band influences. I said the Ramones. I was talking with Paul Santo, who's on the album. Fantastic guitarist, plays with Aerosmith
Hmm.
and Ringo Starr.
Oh
And
yeah.
when we first started talking, he said, "I'm trying to catch your vibe. It's gloomy intros and cheerful choruses." And I said, "Well, my dad was into Wilson Pickett and James Brown, and my
Oh.
mom was into Jim Croce and Chris Christopherson." So I think it was this album here was really the first time that I wasn't in a band. So there wasn't, three additional voices and structures that kind of filtered out the songwriting. And I
Hmm.
really set out and wanted to make sure that I can make the album I always wanted to. So I
Right.
think it's eclectic, and I brought in 22 artists to be able
Wow.
to do that, orchestras and choirs, and some of the best musicians around. And so I would say you can see the elements of what my influences are, but the ability to kind of go with what was in my crazy mind based off of each song is really where the album sits.
Wow. And I'm loving your website, by the way. As you can see, I'm just kind of scrolling through it and listening. You are on Spotify. But you do have something of an element that most people don't realize is that you have an element of a donation going on. And I was looking at that on your website and it says donate to Harmony Health and get your vinyl record. What is that about?
So all of our physical media, all of our merch is exclusively going through the Harmony Health Foundation. The Harmony Health Foundation is a national 501c3 nonprofit. I am on the board. I've been on the board for almost 2 years. And what we do is we really focus on improving access to healthcare for those with intellectual and developmental disabilities, which are very
Mm,
vulnerable. And we've just seen some significant impact to that population over the last couple of years that they're really in an unfortunate circumstance of being able to
yeah.
have preventive health care. And so all of the physical media is exclusive through a pledge page, GoFundMe. If you go to our website and click those buttons or grab your vinyl now,
Hmm.
you can make a donation as small and as big as you want. If you need a new record player, like you mentioned earlier, you give the highest donation. We'll send you everything, including a
Mm,
record player, just so you can hear the vinyl. Because the album was specifically produced to be heard on the vinyl
hmm.
overall.
Awesome. You got A side and B side. What?
I do 10 songs. It's a full, good old fashioned
I love
vinyl
it.
album.
I'm dating myself here because I had a whole thing. Like we had the. Okay, I'm not gonna say nothing. I could say it. I could say it. I could do that. I could do
You
it. We
can,
had the
yes.
8 track. We had 2 cassettes, and we had the radio, and then we had the record player. You know what I'm talking about? It was the
I
whole
had the same
the
exact
whole
thing.
deck.
Yes,
Come on.
I did. We had the 8-track players you put in. My dad had this Wilson Pickett 8-track player, and they were fascinating, right? Because if there was a song you wanted to hear, you would click through it, and you would just hope it would land on
I
one of those
know. Wait,
clicks as you went through. But what an
wait.
appreciation for finding it that
I
you
know,
ended up
but wait.
having.
Okay, there was one. I think I love you. So what am I so up? It always happened. I'm like, no,
I
who put it
know.
there? Who did? And that was one of the 8 tracks that actually did that. It was right in the middle of that song. It was right in the middle. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So now I have to wait for it
Yeah.
to rewind to start on the opposite two channels. Most people don't realize there's 4 channels, and you got 2 channels going one way and 2 channels going the
That's
other way.
it.
It's like, oh my gosh!
Yeah. Yeah. But most likely why the 8-track was very short lived and the
Oh
expansion
yeah.
music.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm loving it too. You know, you do have a digital album booklet. Most people don't realize about album booklets because I literally love those because you have like the credits inside, but sometimes you have lyrics, you have pictures, you got behind the scenes. What did you put in your album booklet?
Yeah, it was very important because I grew up probably the same as you when the joy of pulling out the record itself, and inside the record is usually this little piece, or you fold them
Yeah.
out. This was kind of a way for the folks who maybe don't have the access to the vinyl or can't get it to get a little piece of that. So
Right.
it's everything you talked about. The lyrics with we actually put in each song has a little picture that was designed to represent the song. So that's on top and the lyrics are below. You can see the full band. There's 22 artists on here. So they're obviously in there and the instruments they played. There's telling you about the performances. There's a short bio about the band. And there's a great acknowledgments page, which I think people overlook a lot of the time, which is sort of the artist's appreciation for everybody from engineers to the other producers, people hooking the microphones up next to the amp that all sit within that structure. So that's all in the digital booklet. And you're right. It should be an experience. My hope
Oh,
is that folks will listen to the entire album, which I know isn't the cool, trendy thing these days. It's definitely about individual songs, but the hope is that you listen from track 1 to 10 and have a good experience and a good time.
so what kind of experience are you having now that you're back? I mean, and where did the name Maverick Smith come from?
So I have 2 boys. My oldest first name is Smith, and my youngest first name is Maverick.
Oh,
So I named the band Maverick Smith. Uh,
aw.
so that was the easiest thing I think that I was able to do through the process. So yes,
Mhm.
it's named for my 2 sons. Um, the process has been unbelievable. When I kind of called old friends to sit in the studio, it was really therapy. I'm going through life changes like most folks do as you kind of get to this point in your life. It was kind of reconnecting really to my friends and musicians. And so I got the old Rolodex out, and you can Google that if you don't know what that is. But I really did. I really did get the Rolodex out.
Oh my gosh, yes, the telephone.
And
Get the
yeah,
phone book out.
well, it was great because most people still had their same numbers.
Yeah.
And called people up, and it was kind of just to get the album out. But as we were moving forward and we were getting really great people, we had Ken Stringfellow from Posey's Big Star REM, Paul Santo, as I talked about, the world renowned bagpiper Lauren McDougall, who
Mm,
is the music director for the TV show The Crown. And if you ever watch it, he's the bagpiper that's in there to his Pixar and Disney, to bringing them in. But we didn't expect the response that we've received. We're
wow.
approaching 100,000 streams on Spotify. The album's only been out 2 weeks. We have radio play in Brazil. I got an excerpt from radio play in Sweden. So Brazil, 14 stations, Sweden, 20 stations. Germany's the same way. So I'm catching up. They want a Christmas single, which I'm in the studio next week to try to pump this out before Thanksgiving, and then an EP to come out with anywhere between 5 and 6 songs, so that gets us the momentum to head out on the road in spring and summer. So uh,
Nice.
unexpected, not anything that was planned for at all, but very thankful that The fear is that when you put art out, that people are indifferent, right? Meh. And so we're seeing more people liking it than hating it, but appreciate both. As long as the art's making you feel something, then we've accomplished what we set out to do.
Definitely. I just have one more question. You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
a lot of people think that if they're too old to come back, or why should I come back? It's irrelevant now. I mean, as when I was younger, I had a choice to make. I could have either had my children young and then pursue my career later in life if I was still here, or I could pursue my career first and then later in life have my children if I was still here. I chose to have my children first and then kind of pursue my career afterwards. You know what I mean? Once they got older and I was there for every event that they ever had. So for a person that did something like I did, and now to come back, or even someone that took a hiatus like you, what kind of suggestion do you give to them? Are they really too old?
Time ain't but a thing to go through. I didn't really think about it at all.
Mm,
And so I guess if I'm giving advice and I'm always hesitant to do that. Um, Come back because it's what you want to do, and if you're going to come back into music, make the music that you want to hear, make the album that you want to hear. And if anybody's thinking about it, I will tell you our analytics, whether that's from Spotify or from our internal pieces, my core audience is 18 to 34.
wow, that
So
that
it's
is
the
amazing.
music, right? It's not,
Wow, you would never
don't
think that.
hesitate. Yeah, total surprise. We had to rework the marketing angles around it. But yeah, so
Wow.
you if you want to produce art, the idea should be you're trying to make people feel something, and there is a selfish piece to that. I think because it helps complete you as a human being. Um, if that's what you're doing it for, that's when you're not too old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I want to thank you so much. And should I call you Sean or should I call you Maverick?
Sean is fine, thank you. There's a whole group of people. Although it's kind of like Hootie and the Blowfish. I think is the avenue I'm going to go for, where Darius Rucker is just
Got
ever going to be Hootie, right? So
you. Right,
I'm fine with
exactly.
either.
Okay, I got you. Well, I mean, you kind of had a part in Maverick and Smith, so
Yes, and I obviously like the name, so it works.
definitely, definitely. So I want to thank you, Sean, for being on the show. I appreciate it. You guys can go to the mavericksmithband.com. That's mavericksmithband.com to check out that music. Go ahead and add some more streams to that streaming platform they already have there, with over 100,000 streams in the last, what, 2 weeks, you said? Oh
2 weeks, been out for 2 weeks.
gosh, congratulations on everything. Nothing but success to you guys. And if you feel like as if you need to go back to whatever it is that you have left because it's running through your veins some kind of way and you just can't escape it, just do it. And don't listen to anyone else. Go for what you know, just like what Sean said. All right, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, bye. And we should be good. It should have ended, but it's kind of like funky. It should have ended, but it's kind of funky.
Okay.
It's glitching on me, but it's all right. It's finished. So the reason that I did a 24-minute and not a 15 was because I'm putting this up on Comcast, because I think that everyone that's coming back, and especially in the music industry, I have a show on Comcast that just does music and people coming back and just specifics. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put this up on Comcast in Atlanta. I get about 60,000 viewers
Wow.
every Thursday at 6 p.m. And then I'll put it out on all the other channels as well. But I think this needs to be there, and I needed to do a 24-minute show for it to actually be enough. So,
Well, I appreciate you. You're awesome at this, by the way. Your
oh,
energy
thank
is
you. I
it's
have
fantastic.
fun. this was what I left my regular job for and the music. So I still do music. I have my studio. It's right there. Like, and I just did a duet with oh my gosh, what's the guy's name? He's really big and famous, like R&B singer, and John. And when my mom passed away, my mom was supposed to be doing a duet with him, but instead I did the duet. And there's a few other
That's
things,
cool.
like I'm doing a couple of different songs my mom was supposed to do, but she passed. So I'm finishing those up, and I'm finding that I have a lot of red tape to go through before I can put everything out. So that's what's taking so long. Other than that,
Mhm.
it's a great thing. Coming back though is difficult because, like you, everything's changed, and it wasn't
Yeah.
something that I was doing like 24/7. So now I'm looking at my studio going, hmm.
Yeah, well,
But I love
I
this.
mean,
I love
yeah,
this.
you're very good at it. And
Thank
I would
you.
imagine you probably get to meet so many different it's what a great opportunity for education, right? You're
Oh
talking to
yeah.
different people. Yeah, I think it seems cool.
It is really cool. I had one person tell me, "You have no drama in your show. You don't have controversy. You got to have like this. Oh, well, what was the thing that came out in your closet?" I am not that kind of person. I'm more of a positive person. I don't need that. And I'm not doing it. And I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. I don't need controversy. I don't need all that. What I need is the whole show is about, remember when you were young and your grandparents or your parents used to sit outside, and everybody and all the kids used to sit out and they used to tell stories, and they used to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's what this show is about. It's about coming together, talking to people, and getting that quote unquote grandma, grandpa kind of feel where you're actually getting like, okay, here's the story, here's the advice, and be positive about it. We all have negativity in our lives. I don't want that on my show.
No, that's fantastic. I think if you put negativity out there, you attract negativity, the
Yeah,
bad vibes and the things like
I
that.
don't need that.
Yeah, it's harder to do the positive.
It
Uh,
is.
I understand that in today's world, but if you get it to catch, you're making people feel good. Isn't that
Mhm.
better than making them feel bad?
Yeah, it
You
really is.
know?
It really is, and I have so much fun just talking about things and talking with people about their stuff, and like you, it was so good. Thank you so much for being on the show, Sean. I appreciate it, and
I
yay
appreciate
for
you.
telling me I'm on a list. I'm on a list. I'm
Thank
on a
you so
list.
much. I appreciate
No
you.
problem.
If there's
Thank
anything
you.
I can do to promote, just send me links or whatever for the Comcast thing,
Well,
and we'll put
if
it
you
out on our
need
thing.
someone to sing with you, I'm a funk R&B singer, and I'm pretty good.
Uh, I'm gonna take you up on that when I get the EP.
Yeah, there you go. So
Serious.
I've
All
done
right.
stuff with all kinds of people. Opened up for, was it 2 years ago? I opened up for Tower of Power. So that's kind of fun. That was fun.
Uh, that's what I want to do because I think that was the secret to this album. We had different vocalists, different musicians, and it serves sort of as a Spotify playlist in and of itself.
Oh yeah,
So
I've
you
done a
you,
lot of stuff.
you kind of had me at funk.
Yay! Yeah, I'm a gritty funk singer. So like rock steady baby. So it's like that
Yeah.
grit, that R&B feel, that soul. I love it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I brought in a brass section on one song, and it's definitely got a little bit more soul in it. And
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah,
okay,
my band has two horns, trumpet and sax.
there you go.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I added the trombone to mine.
Oh, I love trombone. Yeah, I have one guy that does trombone whenever I need like three people or four. I have two other people that I call. So we have a four brass section. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
Oh, I love the trombone. My co-producer and I got in a little bit of a tussle because I was trying to send it all the way over to the left so I could hear it more. But I
Hmm.
do realize the trombone may not be the best solo instrument out there.
Well, it's
So
okay. It's okay. It is what it is. You do your thing. Don't let the A&R
Uh,
guys do
well, he's a
it.
partner. He's a partner,
Yeah,
but I
we're
hear you.
partners. A&R. Ooh.
Oh, I hate the A&R people. I do.
Oh, I know. Well, thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you. I appreciate you. If you
All
need
right.
anything, give me a holler.
Definitely. Same here.
Bye.
All right. Bye.